then I'll ask you questions. Okay, it's recording. I haven't done
All
this
right.
before. I mean, I tested it a minute ago. So the first question I want to ask you is just what have you been up to in terms of working with alternatives to capitalism, and that might specifically be the work that we've talked about, that you've told me about with Jubilee, could also be reparations, Black entrepreneurship. Just tell us a little bit about what you've been up to.
Well, I'm really in the thick of it, and I'm in the thick of it in many different areas of alternative to this particular capitalism that we have in this country. And so I come through different doors, and I'm working in different ways to really wake up, to really wake up, and not just wake up, but then after you're waking up, there has to be action. And so one of the things that I have several things going on that have a lot of my attention right now. And one of them is I formed a company with 3 other people that's called Jubilee Partners. And Jubilee, we're all really activists in the finance world. And we do different things, but essentially, if I say an overarching theme is redistribution of wealth. And even the name Jubilee comes from the Quran, which is like, every 7 years is the sabbatical. We know the word sabbatical, where we're supposed to rest and the land goes follow, and, you play the guitar or whatever you want to do, for that year. And then every 7 of those is a Jubilee. And the Jubilee is actually where debt is forgiven and things get redistributed. And so that's why that's one of the reasons why we named our company Jubilee. So we're working in that area, and essentially we have different ways to do it. And there's 4 of us, and each of us has a vertical that we work in. And mine is called Jubilee Justice Journeys, J3. And we take people on journeys. We go to, so my conversation that I'm having is with high net worth individuals, which come together, what we call wisdom keepers. And wisdom keepers are people who are probably listening to this, folks who know, who are thought leaders, people who have different ways of thinking about things, a lot of Black and brown people and indigenous people. So we bring these people together on a journey. And this journey that we're doing is on a plantation in Louisiana, in a place called Alexandria, Louisiana. Another wealth holder who inherited this plantation, which she's turned into the largest organic farm in the state of Louisiana, but it still is, she's grappling with her inheritance of a plantation built on slavery. And so we bring these high net worth individuals along with the wisdom keepers on a journey together on that plantation. And we talk about the roots of capitalism, right? We really talk about, my conversation is at the intersection of land, race, money, and spirit. And in that intersection, everything is covered. Because when you think about wealth in America, one of the things is land. And when you look at land loss, the Black folks' land loss is just, it's way beyond what you can imagine, and how it has systematically been done by the US government, by individuals, and particularly in the farm belt right now. Just look, I'm spending a lot of times with Black farmers. Oh my God. We have such a light on the urban plight of discrimination and injustice. But what's going under the cover is what's happening to farmers. And it's like it's 1863 or something. I mean, it's unbelievable, the kinds of things that are the policies, the discrimination coming from the US government, coming from the whole sector, business sector, white farmers, and how Black farmers are being treated and how land is being taken away. So I'm thickly working in that. So land and wealth has always been tied together in this country. And so we got to talk about land. If you're talking about recreating land, wealth in the Black communities, the Black and brown communities, you got to talk about land. And so we talk about land, and we're on a plantation. We talk about race, obviously, for all the obvious reasons. It's funny, my friend, and you all know Fania Davis, she calls capitalism racial capitalism. There's no other capitalism in this country other than racial capitalism. And so I agree with her. And so racial capitalism, this country's entire capitalism was built on the enslavement of Black bodies and the extermination of indigenous people. The entire thing, the land was stolen and the people's labor was stolen. And everything, that whole industrial revolution, everything that we know to be great about America happened because of that extermination and all those millions and millions and millions of hours of free labor. And so race is at the bottom, is at the core of our capitalist society. And so the truth of the matter is that it's colonial capitalism. And if you actually follow and look at where colonialism was in this whole global society, when you look at the entire globe, and you think about the 10% and the 90%, the 10% is still in every place that colonialized, and the 90% is still in every place that was colonized. It's not a coincidence. And so we have to look at all of this. We have to look at race, we have to look at land, and then we look at money, because money is, what we're talking about is about, when we talk about wealth, when we talk about capitalism, it's about where is it stockpiled in places where it's got way too much, and how it needs to flow. And then how it's also being used to destroy the environment and everything about it, how money is being used. So, because another one of the things that we do at Jubilee is climate. And we talk about climate from the place of soil and from the place of the interconnection of people and soil and land. And again, it goes back to why is climate the way it is? It's not about anything. It's about greenhouse gas. It's about that, but it's really about capitalism and greed. And so all of it boils back to the same thing. And then we talk about spirit, because spirit is who we are, it's our humanity. It's like, who are we really in all of this? Because honestly, my liberation is tied to yours, and yours is tied to mine. No matter who you are, your liberation, you may have a gazillion dollars in the bank and that you think you're going to pass to your kids and keep it in that little location. But it's not, it's only, the gig is up, right? In terms of, we know that the planet is on fire. Literally, the Amazon is on fire, okay? We have, and do you think that, anyway, I just want to say that all of it is connected, and that's the conversation I'm having at Jubilee, is looking at, talking with wealthy people. And here's the good news. The good news is that the people that I am in touch with, that we go on our journeys, they are people who are primarily looking in this direction already. They're looking in this direction. They know they've got too much. They know that something needs to change. They know that they have a spiritual disposition. They have this desire to change the world. They know they have too much capital, and they're open to, but how do I do this? Particularly when they have a whole family that's telling them, who's not necessarily thinking how they're thinking. They have wealth advisors who are telling them to hold on to every penny they've got, and they're waking up themselves. And so there's a lot of people waking up. White people with wealth are waking up, and they need to come together and understand that they're not alone at waking up. There's other people, and that our liberation is indeed tied, and we have to change this entire system. And so I work with Jubilee that way. And so one of the things that we do also, one of our biggest hidden agendas is to actually crash the entire Wall Street, because Wall Street is actually at the core of our problems as well. This whole way that we do finance, we have a financial system that's broken. We have a financial system that is based on short-term results, that is based on a total extraction, and that is not going to get us anywhere but the same things that we're doing, which everybody's trying to reshuffle the chairs on the Titanic, but the Titanic is sinking. We need something totally different. And so finance, any good person who's in finance or who studied economics knows that it's supposed to have maximize your return and liquidity and low risk. And it's just the opposite if we're going to get out of here. alive. We've got to go for the most risk. We've got to, people who have too much, they've got to let go. They've got to say, why do you need, what's enough? What's enough? At what point do you say it's enough and you take the biggest risk that's going to have the most impact on our planet and on our people? So high risk. Forget the returns. I don't believe in it anyway, right? The idea of interest is like, okay, we talk about closing the racial wealth gap, but then we charge interest. And it's like, how is that going to work? If I give you $1 and you owe me back $1.20, how will you ever get to where I am? So interest has got to change. It's got to go away. I believe in zero interest, okay? And then when you, in order for us to get to where we have to get to, and so the return has, and liquidity, I mean, the way the whole finance system and the business is set up is that, you know, businesses have to turn in their quarterly reports. Every quarter, you're supposed to show all these gains. And if you don't, you know, your stockholders are upset, and you do everything is for the stockholder for quarterly gains. That is not how a business runs. That's not the rhythm of a business. It's not a quarterly. They made this shit up. Sorry. All this is just completely made up. And so, but businesses don't run like that. I have ran a business. It's not about quarterly, but you're geared towards that because of liquidity, because they want to get in and they want to get out and they want to make a lot of money. And so the whole system is just broken, and it is recreating everything that we see. And yet we say we want something different. Well, you know, the only thing that I think how we're going to do something different, one, is that we have to understand that our liberation is tied together. We have to understand that at the core is not just the financial system, but the social system. And that all those great people who are working towards climate and all these wonderful things that people are doing, they're working on, that need to be done, but are avoiding the hard conversation of social justice and race and racism and white supremacy and patriarchy. If we're not dealing with that, we're not going to get there. So I know in my heart that that is the core, because the same mindset that is destroying the earth, that is destroying the Amazon right now, and every species on this planet that has created humans as the hierarchy on top of everything, that mindset is the same mindset that has perpetrated racism, that has created that has allowed this white mythology to pervade and to run every social and economic system that we have, and it's all leading to our own destruction. So I say at the basis of the economic system and changing the capitalist system is the social system, and is social justice, and is racism, and is patriarchy, and is xenophobia, and all of that is what we need to be doing, because we've got to change the inside to change the outside. Right. And it's not like it's either or one percent. One is, they both have to happen simultaneously, because we don't have a lot of time. Right. But this has to change, this mindset, the mindset that created the system. If we don't change the mindset that creates the system, we're going to create the same system again. Right. And so that is what needs to happen. And that's what I'm doing in our journeys, is working on people's hearts and minds and saying, look at what we have. Look at this system. This is the truth of it. Right. This is
which brings me to the Dharma in this, because you're talking about what is, also talking about like the suffering that's being created.
That's exactly right.
That we have. That's exactly right. Here we are. There's so much suffering.
So much suffering
for everyone in the system. It's not like folks who are rich are not suffering. They're suffering.
Big time.
And there's a path to the end of suffering. And so I'm just curious how this fits in for you with your Dharma practice, with sharing the Dharma.
Gosh,
How are those things tied together?
Oh, it's so tied. I mean, they're inextricably tied. There's no distance. There's no difference. As you were pointing out, the suffering that everybody is is receiving the clinging, right? All the greed and the clinging and the aversion towards, each other, and the clinging towards what we think is going to make us happy. Like, this glass is going to make me happy, and I'm just going to hold on to it and not let it go. And really being able to see the pain and suffering and all of that of what we think is going to make us happy. That is the theme of the Dharma throughout. It's like we think that these things are going to make us happy, and we cling to them, whether it's a person, this person in my life, this is finally going to make me happy. I'm finally going to get happy if I have the right lover, if I have the right amount of money in the bank, if I have the right pet, if I have the right, whatever it might be, mother, father, that's what's going to make me happy. And honestly, none of that is not the answer. And so I feel that a lot of the work that I'm doing is it's completely tied to Dharma, and looking at what actually makes us happy is letting go of needing to be made happy by something outside of ourselves, and opening up our hands and opening up our minds and opening up our hearts and having the heart and the will to do it differently. That's the road to happiness, of that letting go. And so that's what we work on. And then I have my other project, which is the Runway Project, which is a small loan fund for African American entrepreneurs that's closing the gap, the friends and family gap money that Black folks don't have. And again, working with people it's always educational. It's not, the tools that I'm using are just tools. It's not about the tool. It's about the pathway there and the education there. With the Runway Project, we're really opening people's eyes about the racial wealth gap, and looking at the fact that it's just a known fact that white folks just know somewhere, most white, but not all, but a lot of them, know that if they're going to start something, somebody in their family gives them a lift somewhere, some way. And that's just not typically available for Black folk. And so when we look at that and people start looking at that, they go, oh, wow, yeah, actually my brother gave me $2,000 to do this or that or the other, or whatever it might be. And so those are the things that when we shine a light on educating the public about what we have created here and the disparities and trying to fix for them, that's what my work is. I can't hear you right now. Somehow you went.
I was muted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, would you share a little bit about like what's your vision? If we like roll forward 10 years, 20 years, what's the revolution or the regenerative economy that you're working to create?
That's great. So luckily I'm an optimist. And I, at the same time as being a realist, right now, I got to say today is a very hard day for me because the Amazon is on fire, and I lead trips to the Amazon every year for people to see that ecosystem and understand the importance of it, its importance to the planet and to our lungs and to everything that has to do with life is held so deeply in the Amazon, and the Amazon's on fire right now. So my optimism is a little bit tainted at this moment with that, but in general, I see that, like I said, I see a movement. I see a movement. I'm in the thick of that movement, and in that movement are people waking up. And I am talking to people who are doing the most amazing things and things that they probably never thought they would be doing. People of great means and resources who are showing up in ways that that they understand that they've got to let go. And I believe that the future, our next 10 years, is that I'm hopeful that there's going to be just more and more people waking up. And in that wake up, we have movement. And in that movement is the fact that first and foremost, one of the first and foremost things we have to do is change the way we're farming, and that the soil, which holds all life, right? All the food, everything we grow, everything we eat is from the soil. That the soil, the way we are depleting the soil, a regenerative farming has to be at the core of what is coming up right now. And the good news is that someone like General Mills, a big company like that, announced that it was going to have so many million acres of regenerative farm from their supply chain, farmers in America, that they're going to go towards regenerative, which is fantastic. There are big companies. I mean, when I saw just the other day, all these heads of CEOs who said that they realize that shareholders are not the only people that they need to serve, and that they have to serve a broader constituency as the planet and people. People, it's like we're slow as hell, but it's happening. And I believe that we're going to do this just in the nick of time. We're going to wait till the last minute because I want that last little dime, right? We're going to wait till the last minute. But I believe that we're going to do this in the nick of time. Before the earth completely explodes, and before people, we just got to get, certain people out of the White House. And and I'm really counting on the youth. I have a lot of faith in this Generation X. I think that they are super exciting to me. And I think that the generation that has the most problems, the most resistance to change, is dying out. And we're looking at a minority country, right? And so as that changes, as the color of it changes, that's why what we're seeing right now is this holding on, this last vestige of Make America Great Again, and all of that is the last vestige, because they know that they're a dying breed. And what's happening is that this change is happening, this transformation is happening. And so the resistance is happening. And all we see is resistance, but don't be fooled by that.
No.
What is
like the Pete Wilson years in California, right now we're just doing that nationally.
That's right.
But when you think
good stuff.
Yeah,
That's
California is in such a different place now.
Such a different place. And the whole country is really changing. And so I'm really hopeful. I'm really hopeful that that this country that's going to be led by these younger people, that's going to be more of brown than white, that that white supremacy's hold on everything is going to start to recalibrate itself by new institutions that and because these are failing. And so a lot of people are going to go down in the meantime, and as always, those with the least and the most marginalized are those who are going to be hurt the most. And a new crop will take place, just like we have to, like how the soil is. We need a new crop, and a new crop is growing, and I feel very hopeful about that. And a new kind of capitalism that actually takes into account way more than that we'll look back and say, really, you guys, it was just about the shareholders? You got to be kidding me. And that Friedman's definition of Milton Friedman's definition of the economy is going to be something, an old dinosaur, just like slavery, which is still happening. But anyway, that said, I just think that is going to change.
Awesome. Well, that seems like a great, hopeful note to end on. Yeah. Thank you so much, Konda. It's so inspiring.
Oh, you're welcome. Awesome. I hope I said something worthwhile. And good.
Any last thing you want to add before I end the recording piece?
There is. The one thing that I'd like to add is to say thank you for doing this day long, or whatever it is. Is it day long or Yep. Thank you all for doing this. I think that the intersection of Dharma and climate and capitalism and social justice has to be what we are doing with Dharma, that we are using what we know and bringing it into, and it not being this little, I'm going to look at my navel and get enlightened, but that it is, its whole point is the intersection of who we are together. And that we really continue to do that and to have these conversations, these Dharma conversations dealing with these issues of the world. So I want to just thank you, and who else is in it doing this?
So it's me and Don Haney and Lisa Moore
Right on. Good
running
group.
this day
You
long
and
on September 7th. Yeah.
all right. Well, that you and Don and Lisa, keep it going, keep it going, and may it proliferate. And may those who are
Yeah.
watching this and those who are in the audience just get deeper into it. Keep the Dharma, as long as we have the Dharma as our base, and Sila and all of our values, and bring it into the world, we're going to be all right. I believe that. And so thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you so much.